You fill my heart with music, I dance through life with thee. I sing your song, and sorrow's gone. In joy I live ever free. Fill my heart with music, I dance through life with thee. I sing your song, and sorrow's gone. In joy I live ever free. You fill my heart with music, I dance through life with thee. I sing your song, and sorrow's gone. In joy I live ever free. You fill my heart fill my heart with music. I dance through life with thee. I sing your song and sorrows gone. In joy I live ever free. Fill my heart with music. I dance through life with thee. I sing your song and sorrows gone. In joy I live ever free. Fill my heart with music. I dance through life with thee. I sing your song and sorrows gone. In joy I live ever free. Fill my heart with music. I dance through life with thee. I sing your song and sorrows gone. In joy I live ever free. Fill my heart with music. I dance through life with thee. I sing your song and sorrows gone. In joy I live ever free. I sing your song and sorrows gone. In joy I live ever free. I sing your song and sorrows gone. In joy I live ever free. Sing your song and sorrows gone. In joy I live ever Door of my heart, open wide I keep for thee. Door of my heart, open wide I keep for thee. Wilt thou come, just for once come to me? Wilt thou come, just for once come to me? Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Night and day, I look for thee, night and day. Night and day, I look for thee, night and day. Door of my heart, open wide I keep for thee. Door of my heart, open wide I keep for thee. Wilt thou come, just for once come to me? Wilt thou come, just for once come to me? Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Night and day, I look for thee, night and day. Night and day, I look for thee, night and day. Door of my heart, open wide I keep for thee. Door of my heart, open wide I keep for thee. Wilt thou come, just for once come to me? Wilt thou come, just for once come to me? Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord. Night and day, night and day, I look for thee, night and day. Night and day, night and day, I look for thee, night and day. Door of my heart, open wide, I keep for thee. Door of my heart, open wide, I keep for thee. Wilt thou come, wilt thou come, just for once come to me? Wilt thou come, wilt thou come, just for once come to me? Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Night and day, night and day, I look for thee, night and day. Night and day, night and day, I look for thee, night and day. Night and day, night and day, I look for thee, night and day. Door of my heart, open wide, I keep for thee. Door of my heart, open wide, I keep for thee. Wilt thou come, wilt thou come, just for once come to me? Wilt thou come, wilt thou come, just for once come to me? Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Will my days fly away without seeing thee, my Lord? Night and day, night and day, I look for thee, night and day. Night and day, night and day, I look for thee, night and day. Night and day, night and day, I look for thee, night and day. Night and day, night and day, I look for thee, night and day. Night and day, night and day, I look for thee, night and day. Night and day, night and day, I look for thee, night and day. And we'll take this next chanting to meditation. All life is sweet and death a dream when thy song flows through me. Then joy is sweet, sorrow a dream. Then health is sweet, sickness a dream. Then praise is sweet, sorrow a dream. Praise is sweet and blame a dream, sorry. sickness a dream, then health is sweet. Sickness a dream, when thy song flows through me, my Lord, when thy song flows through me, then praise is sweet, and blame a dream, then praise is sweet, and blame a dream, when thy song flows through me, my Lord, when thy song flows through me. Oh, life is sweet, and death a dream. Oh, life is sweet, and death a dream, when thy song flows through me, my Lord, when thy song flows through me, then joy is sweet, sorrow a dream, then joy is sweet, sorrow a dream, when thy song flows through me, my Lord, when thy song flows through me, then health is sweet, sickness a dream, then health is sweet, sickness a dream, when thy song flows through me, my Lord, when thy song flows through me, then praise is sweet, and blame a dream, then praise is sweet, and blame a dream, when thy song flows through me, my Lord, when thy song flows through me. Oh, life is sweet, and death a dream. Oh, life is sweet, and death a dream, when thy song flows through me, my Lord, when thy song flows through me, when thy song flows through me, my Lord, when thy song flows through me. Oh, life is sweet, and death a dream. Oh, life is sweet, and death a dream, when thy song flows through me, my Lord, when thy song flows through me, when thy song flows through me, my Lord, when thy song flows through me, when thy song flows through me, my Lord, when thy song flows through me. Let's meditate for about 5 minutes.
Well, good evening again. I'm opening my phone not to check messages in the middle of the webinar, but to open the Autobiography of a Yogi Daily Wisdom app, which is a new Android app that the monks have created, which is now available on Google Play Store. You just have to search for Autobiography of a Yogi, Daily Wisdom. And tonight, Baraquiel and I are going to be reading some daily passages. Each day, you get a wisdom passage from the Autobiography of a Yogi on your phone. And it's a beautiful app where it's giving great reviews and great feedback. So we'll read a few of these this evening and just share some more thoughts on them. And we'll share some of the readings from this coming week. For November 22nd, quote, "He is also near and dear. After the mind has been cleared by Kriya Yoga of sensory obstacles, meditation furnishes a twofold proof of God. Ever new joy is evidence of His existence, convincing to our very atoms. Also in meditation, one finds His instant guidance, His adequate response to every difficulty." This is Swami Sri Yukteswarji in chapter 14, An Experience in Cosmic Consciousness. Now this short passage, which is, I think it's 4 sentences, each one of these sentences is almost a teaching in itself. I'll start with the first one. He is also near and dear. And this, keep in mind, this is Swami Sri Yukteswarji who is saying that God is near and dear. And Sri Yukteswarji was a great sage. There's a story of a saint who worshipped God in form. And he was worshipping the Murti one day. And a Jnana yogi came walking by and started sort of sneering condescendingly at him. He said, "Look at you, you limit God to this finite form when God is infinite and vast and everywhere." And this bhakti yogi looked at this so-called Jnana yogi and he said to him, "You are the one who is limiting God. God is also infinitely small, infinitely near, infinitely dear. God is in the birds, God is in the people, God is in all things. And however we choose to worship God, we can find God in form or without form. God is all of this." And Sri Yukteswarji, as a great sage, understood that God is infinitely vast and impersonal, but also very near, very dear. And so however you worship the Lord, it must become very real to you. Yogananda ji said that it's easier to worship God in form because we are used to form. And we, as we were raised as a child, we had a mother and a father. And so we can relate to the concept of mother and father and worship God in that way. And eventually, yes, we must merge into God in God's infinite form. But to get there, most people must start with form, rather than just as a philosophical idea or intellectual concept. Ramakrishna, the great Bengali saint, he worshipped God as Divine Mother, as Kali. And one of his teachers came to him one day and said, "You have to go beyond this." And so this was very wise advice. And he was trying to guide Ramakrishna to go merge back into God. And this teacher, Totapuri, took a piece of glass and ground it into his spiritual eye. And Ramakrishna merged into God as Kali, as the infinite. And he understood that the doorway to the infinite is through form. And that form is the doorway to the infinite. The second sentence, "After the mind has been cleared by Kriya Yoga of sensory obstacles, meditation furnishes a twofold proof of God. The first proof, ever new joy is evidence of His existence, convincing to our very atoms." The scriptures and the great sage Adi Shankara said that God is Satchitanandam, ever conscious, ever existing, ever new divine bliss. And this is the experience that devotees have when they meditate over time. It doesn't always come right away, but as Yogananda ji said, it comes with a divine inevitability to the sincere devotee who keeps calling and keeps calling to God. And if it doesn't come as overwhelming bliss, I think most Kriya yogis I have seen, almost without exception, find a growing bubbling up of inner joy. and the ability to be joyful under all circumstances. So this is the first proof of God's existence, which is this feeling of bliss, which inevitably comes to those who are sincere. And then also in meditation, one finds his instant guidance, his adequate response to every difficulty. Now that guidance sometimes comes in the form of intuition. I had a very strange and enlightening experience. I was working, serving for Swami Kriyanandaji on his staff at Crystal Hermitage, where he lived in California many years ago. And one day, part of my job was to fix this construction project that the people who had left behind. And there was a fountain, and this fountain was not working properly. And the plumbers, the electricians just could not fix it, and they could not figure out why it was not working. And they all left, they scratching their heads and wondering what the problem was, leaving me with the problem. And of course, Swamiji was saying, Devarshi, why is this thing not working? And I had to figure it out. And I looked at it, and I could not solve it. And one day, I was in meditation, practicing Kriya Yoga. And suddenly the answer came to me of why this thing was not working. It was a mundane problem, a very unusual problem that plumbers had not seen, and just having to do with the level of the water and water pressure and all. And I fixed it. And so meditation and Kriya Yoga provides divine guidance and answers to all of our problems. Sometimes those answers do not come in the form of an inspiration, an idea, a thought. Because sometimes when we suffer in life, when we have great loss, when we've been hurt by somebody, sometimes the answer is not a piece of wisdom that someone tells us. It is the divine solace from God, from Divine Mother, that we feel in meditation. So take your problems to the divine in meditation, offer them up, and you'll find that answers come, either in the form of the thought or idea, or more commonly over the years, through divine bliss, through divine love, through divine solace and compassion, where your heart is healed of the hurts that it's received. Just trust and know that if we keep turning to the Lord, however we worship God, that the divine will come to us in form, without form, as feeling, as bliss, as vision, but in the end God will come in some way.
And I took the reading for today, November 18. A soul, being invisible by nature, can be distinguished only by the presence of its body or bodies. The mere presence of a body signifies that it exists, that its existence is made possible by unfulfilled desires. Now, this is a very interesting one. The soul is invisible by nature, but it can be distinguished because we have a body. What does this mean? Well, it's very interesting to think, because once we achieve the goal, once we merge back into God, there is only bliss. It's all one ocean. There is no separation at all. It is when we come to this world, or to any of the worlds, because very interestingly here it says body or bodies. And the first thought may be somebody manifesting in two bodies at the same time or something. But by the way, this is Sri Yukteswar who said it in the chapter of the resurrection of Swami Sri Yukteswar, when he explains to Yogananda about the astral world and the causal world. But he's also meaning, whenever we have any of the three bodies, whenever our soul is in any of the three bodies, then there is separation. Then there is that, you could say, ego to some degree. And then we can say, because if not, if we are merged in God, it's all one. There is no difference. And just to put a little bit in perspective, that some may not know, Yogananda explained that our soul is encased in three bodies. The causal body, which is made of thoughts, the astral body, which is made of energy, and the physical body, which is made of matter. Now, the causal body is the closest to divine consciousness, is the closest to God Himself. The energy body, the astral body, is the second, and the physical body in which we are all stuck is the the grossest one. And it's very interesting, he says here that the mere presence of a body, which means any body, any of the three bodies, signifies that its existence is made possible by unfulfilled desires. And it's how interesting Yogananda said that desires is the only thing that keeps us tied to this world. Desires is the thing that brings us back after death again and again to this world. That when we pass on, we go to the astral world, it is not so much that we create an astral body. These three bodies are already within us. But when we shed this physical body, we go into an astral body and we stay there, he said, as long as our good karma allows us. And then I imagine when that good karma runs out, desires for things of the physical world start coming back to us. And that desire becomes so strong that we are forced to come back to the physical existence. And he's telling us here how really the goal of the spiritual path is to overcome the ego and to get rid of all of our desires. Later on, Swami Sri Yukteswar says something very interesting. He says, when the silentness is attained through wisdom, its powers disintegrate the two remaining vessels. And he's talking here, he was talking more about the physical desires, because some people tend to think that, okay, first I have to get rid of all my karma in the physical world, then all my karma in the astral world, and then all my karma in the causal world. And it seems to be something hopeless because we are still in the first stage. But Yogananda explained very clearly that once we overcome the ego, once we reach that state of nirvikalpa samadhi where there are no more desires, although we may have some past karma, there are no more desires. We don't identify ourselves with the body, with any of our bodies, then the battle is won. Then we do not need to reincarnate again and again because desires are gone. And you may wonder, so why do we come back? Well, Yogananda said that most people who achieve that state, they don't really care. They don't really care if they come back. They may just keep some of their karma in order to help their disciples evolve spiritually even more. How they have reached a totally desireless, where there are no more desires, there's nothing else to be cleansed. And you may wonder, what about a great master? A master that has no karma at all, like Paramahansa Yogananda or any of the great avatars of our line of gurus? Well, it is said that they only have one desire. It's a desireless desire. The only desire is to help others achieve liberation. That is the only thing that brings them back. But that's also a desire, you can see. And how really the goal of the spiritual path is to overcome the ego through getting rid of all of desires. Once that is done, then we are free. And then Satchitananda awaits us. And it is something very consoling because many people, again, are worried. Okay, I get there, but then I have to get rid of all my karma or this or that. But just be with this thought. Once you are in bliss, you are in bliss. You don't care whatever may come to you in the world, you are not affected by it anymore. That bliss is the only thing that matters. And that bliss is what we all can achieve, as Devarshi was saying, through Kriya Yoga, and most importantly also through the attunement with our Guru. So remember that. Try to minimize always your desires. Try to be content in yourself. The more you are content within yourself, the less the world will have power over you, because it only has as much power as we ourselves give it. Remember that getting rid of all desires to overcome the ego, and then no more reincarnation in any of the bodies, will be always in bliss.
The November 23rd reading, also from Swami Sri Yukteswarji. All dream bubbles must eventually burst at a final wakeful touch. Differentiate, my son Yogananda, between dreams and reality. Again, all dream bubbles must eventually burst at a final wakeful touch. Differentiate, my son Yogananda, between dreams and reality. This reading is talking about the unreality of what we see in front of us, this world, and the wakeful state that we will reach. Someday, this dream bubble will burst, and we will wake up from the dream and realize, in some ways, how foolish we were to over-identify with the dream. So look for ways to burst that dream bubble. Deep meditation is the best. When we have an experience of divine joy, we understand that's who and what we really are. And as you experience that more and more, you will start to see that divine joy in all things, behind this veil of duality, as Yoganandaji called it. And this is how we wake up. We don't have to wait until we leave the body to have that dream bubble burst. Because if we don't burst that dream bubble in divine awakening before death, then we will have to come back and work at bursting that dream bubble. Well, some ways that you might find helpful to try to burst that bubble is just on a day-to-day basis, look for openings in the window of this dream. In the Yoganandaji used the analogy that this dream is like a movie. And at the movie theater, you get engrossed in the movie. And in the old days, it was a beam coming from the back. Nowadays, it's digital. But even now with the digital movie, every once in a while, you're watching the movie. And all of a sudden, the movie starts to pixelate and break up. I've seen this happen, not often, but a few times. And you realize that this movie is just a movie. It's not real. I have found that pixelating and that breaking up of the dream happen at certain times in my life. One of them has been when I have been in the presence of two different deep Kriya Yoga devotees at the very moment when they left the body. It was almost like they were leaving this world through the door, through an opening into the astral world. And I sensed in that moment, and the first time I was very, very surprised. I was not expecting to feel so much overwhelming joy when this dear soul left the body. It was just, I didn't know what to expect. I wasn't expecting anything. And it was almost like when that door opened and that soul was going through, some of the light and some of the joy from the astral world was coming to those of us who were there. And again, it was almost like the picture was breaking up momentarily, and you could see beyond this little reality. It's also when souls are born. You ask, where did they come from? This entirely created, made soul who has a personality, a consciousness. And again, it's an opening into the astral. You can also see this at times when you're at a place like the ocean, and you just see the vastness of it, the great expansion of it. And so try to look for ways in daily life. A few more. One of them is when you have a deep relationship to a murti, a form of God, in a very real way. That murti is not just a form. Yoganandaji, one of my favorite chants of his, he does a chant to Divine Mother as Kali, and he sings, "Who tells me thou art dark, O my Mother Divine? Thousands of suns and moons from thy body do shine." And he's playing a joke a little bit, a pun, a play on words. He's saying, "Who tells me thou art this dark form that we worship in a very limited way? Thou art, in fact, thousands of suns and moons shining from that body, from that murti." And he was saying he saw through the dream. He saw through that murti and saw it as a doorway opening to the infinite. You can also see this in very simple ways. In a child, in human souls, in the saints. But do be on the lookout, and you will find that when you are always looking, you will start to see it. Every once in a while, you will get a glimpse. If you never look, you will never see it. My wife and I, many years ago, we would go on walks very often in the evening. And it was always an expedition. It was never just a walk, talking about business. It was always an adventure. And we would always say, what are we going to see today? Because very often you would see some special animal or creature or some beautiful scene. And we would always be on the lookout. And very often we would see an owl on a tree or some amazing experience. And again, if you are never looking for it, you will never see it. So this is one of the best ways to burst the bubble of this dream, is to try to look beyond the dream, to look behind the dream. Now, meditation is the greatest aid to this, because if we are caught up in our restless thoughts all the time, then that's all we're thinking. I enjoy taking walks in nature, yet I sometimes experience being with somebody and being with myself when the mind is really, really restless and talkative. It's either verbally talking the person, or our mind is chattering, and we don't even see what's around us. We don't see the beauty of it, and so we don't see beyond the dream unless we are able to calm our mind with meditation. So meditate, and also try to take the calmness of meditation into daily life. A beautiful practice is how we get up from meditation and how we end our meditation. Don't just jump up, make breakfast, read the paper in a very rushed and hurried way. Try instead to do it in a more centered way. Take a short walk right after meditation so that you can take that calmness and depth into activity. And you will find that it's easier to carry that depth throughout the day if that first step coming out of meditation in those first 5 minutes or so are done more consciously. And when you do that, it's easier to see beyond the dream during the day. It's easier to feel joy, to see humor in situations that might otherwise be stressful. So practice these ways, practice these things, and try always to be on the lookout for God breaking through the screen of duality. And if you keep looking long enough and often enough, you will start to see it more and more every day of your life.
I have for November 20th. This is from the chapter The Sleepless Saint, and it's Ram Gopal Muzumdar talking to Yogananda. Do not fix your spiritual ideal on a small mountain, but hitch it to the star of unqualified divine attainment. If you work hard, you will get there. And this is something that we all have to always remember in the spiritual path. Especially some people may come to the spiritual path because they don't feel attracted to this world, and that's not always a good thing, honestly. But sometimes it is only that. Sometimes it is just a way to kind of put yourself apart. Yes, we want peace, we want this, but we also have to develop that desire for truth, that desire for self-realization, that burning desire, you could say, that we always have to remember. What are we here for? What is our goal in life? Is your goal in life to just achieve a little peace? Well, meditation will give you that, but it is only the surface. Are you in the spiritual path because you want to succeed in business a little more and be peaceful at the same time? Well, meditation will give you that, and it can give you much more. Are you in the spiritual path because you want to have better relationship with people? Well, meditation will give you that too. But all of these things it's just the surface, it's just kind of the sidelines. Meditation will give you all that anyway. But we have to remember, our final goal is self-realization, moksha. Always when you go to meditation, try to have samadhi as your goal. Why not? Are we not trying to achieve that? Why be content when you do a little kriya, a little hongso with a little peace? Because the danger is that if you get used to just a little peace, you say, I'm content with this is good enough for me, and you become complacent. Never become like that. Always in your meditations, in your activities, try to go deeper and deeper, and always know that until you achieve samadhi, you have much more to go. Always keep that in mind, and you will see that it will help you. It will help you a lot in your meditations and in everything. Always keep the goal in mind. I know that sometimes people may ask me or some others, don't you feel stuck in the spiritual path? And I understand where they come from, but what I tend to tell to people, and others tend to tell as well, is, I don't really feel stuck because I know that my job is to always do my best and always put one step in front of the other. Even though for months I may not see that I'm improving, I may not see my meditations changing, maybe my meditations for a period even go lower, I know that if, as long as I put one foot in front of the other, and I know that I'm doing my best to reach the highest goal, then what else can I do? Then the rest is up to God. But always try to do that. And you will see that your life also becomes much more joyful, that you are not worried about this, about that. Just always do your best, and you will see that things will work out. Keep always the highest goal in mind, and things will work out. And then you will get the greatest joy out of everything. It is very interesting how that the last line he says, if you work hard, you will get there. And it's interesting also because Ram Gopal Muzumdar was the one who used to meditate 20 hours a day, and then we say, I cannot do that. But that was his best, and he was probably liberated from before. What can we do? Our best, we should always do, and then maybe even push yourself a little more at some time to time. But more than all, try to always develop that burning desire. Swami Kriyananda used to say that the depth of your dedication and the depth of your devotion, it is the true mark of spiritual progress. If those two things are always there, increasingly going forward, then you can say you are making spiritual progress. And as long, of course, as you are always doing your best.